You're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Green Bay Packers content. Created for the fans by the fans. Hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you know whenever we go live. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Packers_Access. Go Pack Go. Enjoy the show.
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on Packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_Access. You can text us 865-658-5824. Join alongside Tim in Green Bay here to talk some Packers as we are now at Monday evening. We got Monday Night Football about to crank up here with the Bengals and the Cowboys. I don't think anybody really cares about that game.
Dumpster Fire Bowl. Let's go.
I think they're going to play it anyway, Tim. We'll still send the guys out there and try to put on a show, I'm assuming. It looks like it's in Jerry World, too. I see that big-ass TV hanging in the middle of that stadium, so they're definitely in Jerry World.
I hope one of those 75 punts we see tonight doesn't run into the scoreboard or anything.
No doubt, man. Always seems to happen, doesn't it? But, all right, so we're going to continue what we did earlier today where we hit on some PFF grades. If you guys tuned in this morning, we basically went through the entire offense and looked at our starters and kind of said, okay, where are the holes on offense? We're going to do the same thing on defense to try to prep ourselves for these college football playoffs that are going to be kicking off. I think the 20th is the first game, so they're going to get a week off. And the reason I think it's important to look at those playoffs, they're not everything, but it really – you're getting some big name programs, right, with big name prospects that are going to be entering the draft this coming spring and the combine and all that. And it gives you a chance to see what they can do under pressure in a playoff atmosphere. I think one of the things that scouts really look at when it comes to future rookie players is how they perform on third downs, especially quarterbacks. They love to use that metric. Like, okay, how successful were they on third downs? It's a got to make it down in distance, right? They really like to see how they perform. And then, of course, in big pressure games, like they'll say, okay, when they played ranked opponents, how did this player perform, right? And did they rise to the occasion of the competition, which we know the competition's at a whole nother level in the NFL. So I think those playoffs will be awesome. So we're going to get through this and kind of give you guys what we think our early needs are going into the offseason. And you can kind of pick and choose and say, hey, all right, here's some prospects I want to look at. Here's specific positions we want to watch throughout the college football playoffs. So hopefully if you're not a college football fan, this will be something that kind of ties it to the Packers and sparks your interest in this new college football playoff. And who knows, you might become a huge college football fan. Tim, I know
playoffs.
I know some people could care less about college football. To me, it just goes hand in hand with the NFL. I love it, man. I really do. And once the season's over, it's over. So it's pretty cool that we're getting a bit of an extended season with these playoff games in college.
Yeah, it gives us a few extra eyes on the prospects, right? You know, before you know it, the draft will be here. Literally here in Green Bay. And, you know, we're going to be doing our draft prep pretty soon. Some people are already doing their draft prep. And, you know, yeah, the playoffs, certainly with the new format, gives us a little more time here to check everything out.
Definitely. And I see everybody in the chat filing in. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us here on this glorious Monday evening. We got Fred McFarley in the house, United Bates, Jeremy Burtz. We got Josh Vallantingham, Ron Samble, Mike Berry, Daryl in the house. Good to see you, buddy. Let's see who else we got here. Prince just rolled. Everybody sit up straight. Prince is in the house. Just got serious. Just got real serious in here. And Fred McFarley says Pack brought Michael Jordan back on the practice squad today. We're not talking about the all-time great shooting guard. We're talking about an offensive lineman, right, Tim?
Yeah, we're talking about a right or a left guard, hopefully here. Possibly a backup center, maybe even interior O lineman. But yeah. Not the Michael Jordan, but a Michael Jordan back on the practice squad for sure.
And all good in the chat said, leave me guess, another year of mock drafting cornerbacks. I think he meant let me guess. Actually, I was surprised, Tim. I went through and looked at the corners, and I went, you know what? Corner's not the biggest need on this team. That's very interesting to me. Now, obviously, Jair, if he's not going to play, it becomes a big need. But we like to think he's going to be healthy if indeed he is a Packer next year. But like I said, we'll get into all that on defense for sure. On the offensive side, just to recap it, Jordan Love grades out as the 15th best quarterback. We know he's a starting quarterback, franchise quarterback. You're good there with Malik Willis as backup. Now, listen, that's not to say that if a stud falls, and when I say stud, I don't mean a top 3 projected quarterback. I mean someone that the Packers have a very, very, very high grade on. Don't be surprised if they pull a Brian Brom here and try to draft someone early in the second or something if they fall right in their lap, right? And it doesn't mean it's going to work out or should work out. It's just that's how the game is played when it comes to the draft. Halfbacks, Tim, we got the third highest graded halfback in the NFL, and we got the ninth highest graded halfback in the NFL with Emmanuel Wilson. That's not including Chris Brooks, and that's not including Marshawn Lloyd, who's just now probably getting healthy for this week. I would imagine this week or next week he would return. Wide receiver, we had 42, 51, 70, and 89. To me, there's no reason to go out and try to find a number one receiver. You like your receiving core the way it is. It doesn't mean if the right guy falls, you don't take a swing. And I would just about guarantee you Goody will take a swing at wide receiver in the draft at some point. Just depends on how
late rounds probably, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Tight end, Tucker Kraft grading out 31st. So a legit starting tight end from the PFF grade standpoint. Now, if you remove PFF from the equation completely, he's much higher than that, in my opinion. You're talking about the Yak King. I think he's second amongst tight ends in touchdown catches. His catch radius is phenomenal. He does a great job looking the ball in, and he's improving every week on his blocking as well. So we're good at tight end with him and Musgrave. Ben Sims as a third stringer makes me just smile like a possum in a dumpster. Absolutely love the depth we have there with some good young talent. Again, I'm not going to keep saying it because there's no reason to. If a stud player falls at any of these positions, whether we think we're good or not, it's okay to take a swing, right? Because you're always adding depth. Now, I try to break things down into tiers, right? We talk about tier one of importance, quarterback, check the box, we're good. Left tackle, Rasheed Walker, me personally, I like it. I think we're good at left tackle. And then center is the big one that stood out to me. You had Josh Myers, who graded out as the 37th best center, right? And now we're seeing the pass blocking dip into the 60s, where in the past it had been the 70s and sometimes the 80s. You could always go, well, he's a great pass blocking center. That seems to have kind of gone to the wayside. Not that he can't turn it around, but as it sits right now, that's really the main focal point on offense for me, Tim, would just be center. See if you can upgrade at center. And bringing Josh Myers back on a cheaper deal, hey, look, I'm not opposed to it. I just don't think that that's how this thing will play out.
Yeah, I agree with that. Center or interior O-line for sure.
Right. Somebody to rotate, right? Because you could put Elton at center, and then maybe that other guy is a guard. And when you look at it that way, regardless, we're going to need a new center if we don't re-sign Josh Myers, right?
Yep.
So if it's Elton, if it's Monk, whoever it is, if it's in-house, great, kick him over there. If it's Elton and you kick him to center, like we said earlier, you got Josh Myers and Sean Ryan to play guard. You're still probably going to be drafting to take like you said, an interior offensive lineman as a backup. So
absolutely,
that'll probably happen there as well. So keep an eye on some of these really good offensive lines across the NCAA, especially here in the college football playoffs, to see if we can find something good there. So before we get into the defense, let's take a quick second and jump into our Patreon group. This is everybody who's a member of one of our 3 tiers in the Patreon group. You get access to these chats and questions for the show. So if you ever have a question, a comment, you just chime in here and you go right to the front of the line for being a member on Patreon, the same as you would with Super Chats on YouTube. So Nebraska Rev said, I was just rewatching the Lions game and came away with a couple of early impressions. Everyone is on the floor for the first play. I get it, but we got a first down after that. I think a bigger issue was Reed's drop and Watson's fumble. If Reed catches the ball, it is a 3rd and 1 or 2, and Detroit can't pin their ears back and assault our quarterback. We were mixing in runs and passes. If Reed catches the ball, we are in a different situation. Youth bit us again. I wonder how much having so many young players is setting back our development. You need someone to show the way and call you out. Also, I feel like our O-line travels poorly. Someone needs to do a better job enforcing their curfew. Is Myers puking on the ball earlier this year? I'm trying to say he tried to, instead of is, he says not, is, but. Okay, got you. So, there's a lot there, Rev. If you're referring to the first down passes, we were 2 of 5 on the game, all right? If that's what you were referring to on the first comment. 2 of 5, and one of those 2 completions were for like 2 yards. You can't do that. You just can't, because when let's say they did go on and get that first down like you're talking about. The fact is we still punted the first 3 possessions. Why is that? Right now, I got this. I want to share Actually, I'll go ahead and just read it to you guys rather than share it on screen because it does go hand in hand with what Rev's saying here. Check this out, Tim. We were talking about run to rock. Ryan Wood, @by Ryan Wood on Twitter, tweeted out, Matt LaFleur at his presser says Lions open in a base 34 defense against the Packers' 11 personnel. He knew it was important to run the football, but they were getting, quote, really difficult looks to run. They were basically begging us to throw the football. So what essentially happened was normally when you go to your 11 personnel, 3 wide receiver set, the other team goes to nickel. They said, no. We're going to stay in our base 34 and make you pass the football. And, he said they're basically begging us to throw the football there. We did it early and it bit us in the ass, right? So it is what it is, and you got to tip your cap to the Lions for being gutsy there and going, look, all right, you want to march your 11 out there and try to run out of 11. We're going to overpower you with bigger bodies. And that really explains why they were able to get in the backfield so much, because as opposed to having 2 tight ends blocking in the running game, we only had 1 in multiple occasions there in the first half. And they were all beefed up with the 34. Does that make sense, Tim?
It does. And, we weren't in rhythm at all early on in the game. It worked, for the most part. There were some times where we did kind of run right into the teeth of that defense and kind of softened them up a little bit. And then they went into some nickel looks. But even then the nickel looks were, straight up man and, hyper aggressive. So they made a conscious effort to make it tough to run the ball. And it was, Josh Jacobs, everything he had on the ground, he had to earn all day long for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Nebraska Red, thank you for the comment, buddy. Just want to make sure Reed, if Reed catches that ball. Yeah, I'm with you on that too. Like, again, you can go back and find bits and pieces of that game where you go, man, if this had happened different, if that had happened different, there's no 2 ways about it. The game would have ended up in a different direction. Trying to make sure we also, I feel like our O-line travels poorly. Well, I know this, the passing game always travels poorly across the NFL. That's a statistic fact. Running games and defense typically travel, right? So again, you got to tip your cap to the Lions. They said, all right, man, we know their running game is going to travel, and we know their defense is going to travel. So let's throw our 34 out there against their 11 personnel. So kind of is what it is. All right. Anything else you want to add to that? What Rev had there in that comment, Tim? Anything at all, buddy?
I get what he's saying too about, having so many young receivers. Is that setting back our development? I think it's fair to say, you'd want to see, I think what his point is that you'd, maybe like to see at least one veteran in that receiver room that can kind of be a guiding light to the younger guys. But I think, we made that decision a couple years ago that we were going to go young and let these guys play their way through things. And, I guess my argument would be, or not even an argument, but a counterpoint would be the youth is your development. That these are the guys that we're trying to develop, and they're not going to develop sitting behind aging veterans. We saw the Sammy Watkins experience here in Green Bay. We saw Randall Cobb returns, Randall Cobb part 2 in Green Bay. It's those guys drop passes too. Veteran receivers make mistakes too. So I think there is some logic to his point there, but I'm happy with the youth movement. And I think we just got to keep targeting these guys and letting them play their way through it, get to that next level. We haven't seen the absolute pinnacle of guys like Tay Wicks and Jaden Reed. And even Christian Watson, I don't even think has come close to his ceiling yet, if there even is one. So I think that just comes with time and experience.
Yeah. And, the other thing too is like the big narrative around Christian Watson was he's got too many drops. He can't catch the football. And then he's actually got the highest, drop grade on our team in a good way. So like you could see some of that stuff and be like, Jaden Reed's having a down year when it comes to dropping the football. There's no doubt about it. I think somebody had a statistic. It was something crazy. It was like Jaden Reed already has more drops this year than Christian Watson had the entire season last year or something like that. Mm-hmm. So we've got this narrative kind of hanging out in the back seat with us saying that Christian Watson's really bad at dropping the ball, and it's just really not true. With Jaden Reed, like I said, it is something that's kind of popped up. Now, Dontavion Wicks, same thing. As far as you want to bring in a veteran to play like that, to me, wide receiver is the last thing you put in place, right?
Yep.
I don't look at this team and go, man, if we had just a true number one wide receiver, we would be Super Bowl bound. I just don't see it that way. What I see are up front mainly, when you look at the defensive side of the ball, we need an edge opposite of Rashawn Gary that's dominant. When I say need, I guess not necessarily a need, it's more of a want, right? Like it's like if you had that or a dominant 3-tech, we've got, when you look at it, and we're going to hit it here in a minute, you're not horrible at interior defensive line. It's just you've got a roster full of number two, guys that are grading out at the number 2 level. So it's like you need that true 3-tech. So I would much rather have that over a number 1 receiver who might be begging for the ball. And I'm telling you, this Matt LaFleur offense does not say we're going to get the ball to them. Like I heard a lot of sports talk the last couple of days, and that's what everybody was saying was like, you got to find a way to get Jayden Reed the ball. You just got to give him the ball because what do you get, like 1 target, I think, in that game? So I don't see it like that at all because you're attacking space. You're not attacking with one individual person. This is the Mike McCarthy, 2011 offense where it's let's spread everything out and create isolation plays. It just doesn't work like that. But
that's true. And we saw the end of the Aaron Rodgers era, and keyholing and forcing the ball to Devontae Adams, and that didn't really do us much service down the stretch either. And that was our number 1. And sometimes that number 1 can that can stunt your growth and your development of some of your other guys. I totally agree with that sentiment for sure.
Definitely. Trevor Anderson in the Patreon group. Appreciate you, buddy. He says, NFL referees make more working a few days a year than most Americans make working all year. The average is over 200,000 per season. Saying they're part-time employees is misleading. That is just so they don't get health benefits, but we can't act like they aren't paid enough. I didn't realize they were making over $200,000 a year. That's a shocker to me. Tim, did you know that? Because I sure did.
I did not, but I am Googling the NFL Officiating Academy right now and seeing if they're accepting applications.
You guys imagine Tim out there, man. Tim out there on Sunday running around with this guy right here. See these two out there.
You're going to hear me say, put that flag away. Put it away, Ron. Put that flag away.
Calm down, Ron. Put it back in your pocket, please, sir. So, that's interesting, though, Trevor. Thanks for bringing that number up there, man. $200,000 a year. That's wild. Absolutely wild.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Carly Ray in the chat. Jeff Hafley said, can I get a chunk of that money? Carly Ray in the chat said, can you explain the difference between a pick that draws a penalty and legitimate blocking? I just watched part of the Bears versus 49ers game where Keenan Allen blocked for DJ Moore and completely got in the way of the defender, and it was a great play. No penalty, yet Scoot caused the guy to fall on Thursday and gets a flag. I feel dumb, but I don't get it. Don't ever feel dumb. Listen, there's no stupid questions in here. We're all learning together. The difference is a pick play is a receiver running a route, right? And defenders will do it too. They'll get called for a pick play too, right? It's essentially you're intentionally getting in the way of the defender. You're trying to make contact with the defender before the ball is thrown or as the ball is in the air, okay? That's what a pick play is. When you're talking about a receiver blocking for another one, go back a couple of weeks, and you guys remember we showed on Chalk Talk, we had a little bubble screen or a flat, right, a RPO flat that went to Jayden Reed on the touchdown, and Christian Watson blocked for him. You'll notice Christian waited. He was really, really patient, waited until Reed got the ball. Then he threw his block, okay? If Christian had ran up and hit the receiver as the ball was in the air or before Jayden Reed catches that football, then he's going to get called for either offensive pass interference or they'll just call it a pick play or whatever. That's the difference in it, okay? So and I don't know the specific play you're talking about here, Carly, but where Keenan Allen blocked for DJ Moore, I imagine it was some kind of smoke screen or something where he steps back, catches the ball, and Keenan Allen, they were in like a twin set. Keenan Allen probably blocked. It was as he got the ball. Now, sometimes they're very, very lenient on whether or not a receiver can make contact as long as it's fairly close to the line of scrimmage because they are allowed to jam each other, within like a yard or two of the line. So it could have been that where it looked a little bit iffy. But, that's the big difference, though. Now, he was blocking. And with the Christian Watson play, although he didn't intentionally do it, Kirby Joseph just ran straight into him, which is still mind-boggling to me that that's a penalty on Christian Watson. If Christian Watson was intentionally trying to hit Kirby Joseph or any other defensive back, then that's obviously a pick. So Hopefully that answers your question there, Carly. And that's not a dumb question. It's I can understand someone watching a game and not knowing the difference between the two and be like, well, hell, they did the same thing. One announcer saying it's a good thing, the other saying it's bad. That's the difference there. So,
and you're right about, closer to the line of scrimmage, like if it's a quick out or like something really fast, they're definitely more lenient because it's such a bang bang kind of play sometimes that they usually err on the side of just not throwing a flag. I think the one with Scoot, he was right around that 5-yard kind of area when he made contact with the defender there. And again, I don't think it was a pick play either. You could actually see Watson turn his body and try and miss that contact. But it's like rest discretion on a lot of those. But technically the rule is the rule. It's just a matter of how it's enforced, right?
Right. Exactly right. So it's just and the rules have changed over the years. That illegal contact rule really got enforced because of Bill Belichick and the way they played the Colts. The Colts complained, and they ended up changing the rule the next year because Belichick was playing very aggressive bump and run with his defenders, and they were doing it a little bit further down the field. It's funny that decades later, the Colts are the one that accused the Patriots of Deflategate. So it's like the Colts have been getting their ass kicked by the Patriots for, 3 decades, and they kept trying to find a way to accuse them of cheating. Pretty funny little rivalry there. And then you throw in, I don't know if you knew about this or not, Tim, but when that next season, the Colts were hiring a head coach, they interviewed Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels accepted the job. And then at the last second, after everybody else was filling coaching voids, he said, I don't want to be the coach here. He literally did that on purpose to the Colts because he and Bill Belichick absolutely despised them for the Deflategate. It's hilarious, man.
Love it.
I love that gamesmanship, me personally. I think it's great. So let's see here. What else we got in the chat? Anything else we want to hit? I think I think we're good. All right, so let's jump into
that QR code up in this way in that corner there. If you want to join the Patreon group, that'll take you right there. You saw the questions go to the front of the line in the Patreon group, and that's probably the quickest way to join, right? Just scan that QR code. It'll take you right there.
Absolutely. And again, that will get you entered into giveaways as well. It's just a way for us to give back to those who are supporting the channel, whether you're a YouTube member here on YouTube or you're a member of one of those 3 tiers on Patreon. As a matter of fact, this week, I think what we're going to be giving away, I'm not 100% sure yet. We'll confirm a little later in the week, but I think we're going to give away an autographed Lucas Van Ness Beckett-style jersey. Okay, so nice. I think that's going to be the plan there. It's a
home jersey, like the one behind you there?
Just like the one behind me. Like I said, nice. It's a Beckett jersey, the home green. So it's the numbers are stitched like an authentic jersey. It's a Beckett style, so it's not an authentic NFL jersey, but definitely autographed with the authenticity and everything of Lucas Van Ness. All of my autographed jerseys, I think I've got something like, 20, 23 in here in the room. And every one of them came from pristineauctions.com. They do a phenomenal job. So we'll be giving away. Let's just do that. Let's just give away a Lucas Van Ness jersey after the game on Sunday night. So let's go ahead and call that. And we are still looking for Ryan Eckert. Okay, if I don't hear from Ryan Eckert, it's Brambo. If we don't hear from Brambo, then it's Jen Wright. Okay, so please, Ryan Eckert, Brambo, and Jen Wright, reach out. Send me an email. Say, hey, I got you. I heard what you said. Or you can text me 865-658-5824. And say, hey, just call in to claim the prize if the other guys don't come forward. And, of course, like I said, Ryan Eckert is the one who's actually the winner, then Brambo second. So if you guys would, send me an email or a text message. It's easier in text. It'll come straight to my phone, and that way we can get that squared away and sent out to you guys. That was the autographed Romeo Dobbs card from the last giveaway. So
courtesy of United Bates. Thank you very much.
Bingo, the man, the myth, the legend. So let's see here. Fred McFarley says, surprised to see Michael Jordan had 11 starts this year for the Pats. Clayton, can we take a quick look at his PFF grades? That's a good sample size. Let's see. Is it okay if I pull it up on my phone? I'll just read it off to you, Fred. That'd make it easier because I've already got PFF opened here on the program for the show. And let's knock this out while you ask. Since you asked so nicely, let's see what it is here. Okay, let's go Michael Jordan PFF grade.
Yeah, that's true. 11 starts. That's a decent chunk, And obviously New England needs all the help they can get. So I'm assuming that's why he played a lot. Was he primarily on the right side or the left side? I guess is my question.
That's a great question, man. It's just kind of hard to tell. I know his overall grade is a 51.4 without pulling up, where exactly he played on snaps. It doesn't show me here. They've changed the app up. Here we go, positional pivots. So it looks like snaps played at left guard 683.
Okay.
So that's what. And again, this is the mobile site for PFF. So it's showing his overall grade on the year as a 51.4. So pass blocking grade is 60.4, run blocking grade of 44.8. He's gotten 2 penalties in 2024 right now. So sacks allowed this year 3, and that's 94th out of 125 guards. So listen, there's no reason. You look at the PFF grades, you look at what he's done, you don't go, wow, this dude is awesome, right? But obviously, Goody sees something in him to add a little bit of depth.
Great contingency plan in case we have to move Elton Jenkins to center. Now you've got a guy on your practice squad who's played over 600 snaps at left guard. Yeah. It might just be that simple, plug and play kind of thing. After he gets his feet under him here back at 1265, so we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. All good. Just became a member here on YouTube of the PTA Posse. Appreciate you, buddy.
Nice.
Thanks so much for joining. We'll make sure we get you entered into the giveaway here coming up Sunday night after the game. And Fred McFarley says, thanks, Clay. Thank you, Fred, for asking that question. That's good information.
Yeah, great info for sure.
All right, let's jump into this so we can get through it before we have to wrap the show up. Interior defensive line. Let's start there. So we're going to go through the defensive side of the ball and see where our players rank. We're going to color code it. I'm going to color code it on a separate sheet here so we kind of start to identify some of what we think are needs going into the offseason, okay? So when you look at the defensive lineman, this is what you're looking for. When we talk about a true 3-tech, someone who can dominate the interior, these are the type of guys you're looking for. Cam Hayward with Pittsburgh, 90.3. Dexter Lawrence with the Giants, 89.9. Chris Jones with the Chiefs, 86.2. Leonard Williams with the Seattle Seahawks. We're going to be playing them this coming Sunday night, 84.9. Poona Ford with the Chargers, 83.1. DeForest Buckner with the Colts, 82.6. Calais Campbell with the Dolphins and Zach Seiler with the Dolphins, both 82.1 and 79.5. McNeil for the Detroit Lions, a 78.9, on and on and on. Okay, so let's see where the Packers' first player comes into play here at interior defensive line. We got to go pretty far down on the list. Look who it is, Tim. It's actually Carl Brooks at a 61.5. All right. So the 61.5, and keep in mind the minimal snaps, I think it's narrowed down to somewhere around 15% of the snaps. As long as you got 15% at least, then you're going to meet the qualifications here. So they're taking out those 10 snaps, 20 snaps, that type of thing, right? So it's a good sample size. Carl Brooks, though, is graded now as the 48th best interior defensive lineman according to PFF. Does that surprise you, Tim?
It surprises me that he's the first Packer on the list.
Same.
But it doesn't surprise me considering the type of year he's been having. And, we were excited about him last season. This year, I think Carl Brooks has kind of turned a corner a little bit in his development. And now you're starting to see him grade out a little bit more steady and a little bit higher than he was last year. I mean, getting up over 60 PFF grade is pretty good. Obviously, we always talk about, like you said, that 65 to 70 kind of range is a good barometer when you're looking at young players. And obviously we need more guys, north of 70 when it comes to the grading on this defensive front. But it's a little surprising that we haven't seen anybody else on the list. Again, this is just PFF. This isn't the be all to end all, but I'm a little surprised that Carl Brooks was the first name up there for us.
Yeah, definitely.
Taking nothing away from his game because he's a stud. I love it.
Hey, Greg Rouse, thank you for asking, man. Everything's good. We went to the doctor earlier. We're all good. Appreciate you thinking about us. And, everything's good, man. Thank you for that. But, I think Carl Brooks is showing a lot of promise. I really do. It surprised me that he was the highest graded, but at the same time, you look at what he did last year, there was times he showed flashes, and it's like, man, I know Matt LaFleur absolutely loved him. Everybody that covered the Packers at training camp practice last year, where like you could constantly hear Matt LaFleur going, great job, Carl, Carl, the whole time, right? So obviously he's making an impact there. So he grades out as the 48th best interior defensive line. Let's go on down the list. The next one, Devontae Wyatt at a 59.4. That would make him 55th in the NFL, okay? So keep in mind, whether we're in a 4-3 base or a nickel 4-2-5, there's always going to be 2 defensive tackles on the field. So pretty much every team across the league, that's how they approach that, okay? If you're in a 4-3, that's how you'll approach it. Now, if you run a 34 jam out of your base, obviously there's going to be 3 defensive linemen on the field, but essentially the majority of the snaps across the NFL, you're in nickel sets, which is typically 2 interior defensive linemen and 2 edges, along with your linebackers, corners, and safety. So I say that because anyone in the top 64, in my opinion, are starting caliber. That's the way I see that, okay? So what you got with Carl Brooks at 48, he's a solid number 2 defensive tackle. That's what he is. He's not that dominant 3 tech that we're looking for. He could develop into that, no doubt. But still, the fact that he's 48th, that says a lot. 55th with Devontae White. I know the grade doesn't look beautiful, but look, you got to compare apples to apples. If everybody else in the league is grading out similarly, you can't look at one person with a similar grade and go, well, they're garbage. It just doesn't work like that. You're comparing it across that whole position group, respectively. So that's where he says 55. The next one on the list, and this is the last one we'll show, is Kenny Clark, a 56.7. He's grading out as the 67th best defensive tackle. Now, obviously, that's outside of the top 64. This is what hurts, because Kenny Clark's getting paid like a top 5 defensive tackle, and he's not grading out that way. Now, people that say, well, Clayton PFF isn't everything, I completely agree. But his pressure percentage isn't there either. His sack numbers aren't there, right? His missed tackle percentage isn't there. So it's like there's no other metric that you look at and go, no, that's misleading. That's why we always try to cross-check, right? Now, luckily, Kenny had his best game of the year here this past week against the Lions. Unfortunately, it came up a little short, but he played his ass off, graded out in the 80s, and you could see it all over the tape. You could run stuff. So did he get a sack in that game? I'm trying to think. No, he did not get a sack.
Against the Lions, no. He had one against Miami, though.
That's what it was the week before. But, man, he really flashed against the Lions. So that's why, in my opinion, we need a defensive tackle, man. We need that true 3 tech. We do. And it's a tier 1 position of importance. So you got to spend time trying to find that dude. You've got to do it. So we identify that as a need for sure. Now, let's hop over to the edge position, if I can find it. Where is it at? What is going on here? There we go. Bang. So let's go to edge defenders. Same type of thing. Now look at this. Remember we talked about McNeil, Tim, for the Detroit Lions, right there in the top 5, top 10. They've also got Aiden Hutchinson, who's hurt. But just to show you why has this Lions team been so dominant in the past when Aiden was healthy, dominant edge defender, dominant 3 tech, right? That's what you're looking for. That's ideal. McNeil, and then, of course, Aiden Hutchinson. And it doesn't mean they're going to play 3 tech all the time, guys. There may be situations where they play nose guard if you want to go to like a jam front. They may play a 1 tech because they like the matchup. But the point is you can line up an interior defensive lineman on the opposite side of the attack from a dominant edge defender and create absolute havoc in the protection scheme, okay? So that's why we mentioned that. Now, T.J. Watt is listed here as an edge defender, obviously playing outside linebacker in the 34 defense. So these are going to be outside linebackers that rush the passer mixed with defensive ends. I know most people know that, but I don't want to confuse anyone who maybe doesn't keep up with that stuff that often, okay? So T.J. Watt, 92.4. Myles Garrett, 91.9. Khalil Mack, 91.7. Nick Bosa, 90.3. Micah Parsons, 89.8. On and on. Okay, so where is our first edge defender? It's going to be Rashawn Gary in the number 38 spot at a 69.8. Okay, so he's our best edge defender. He's actually our best pass rusher on the team as well, not just edge, but including interior defensive line, obviously. So him coming in at the 38 spot, he's right there on the cusp of being a number 1 edge. Now, we know, we've talked about on this show all year long, something is going on with the pass rush, right? All these guys didn't all of a sudden forget how to pass rush. So when we turned on the tape, as early as I remember, Tim, it being week 2 or 3, that we were like, okay, let's see what they're doing. Oh, that's what they're doing. They're doing a lot of touch spine. They're trying to protect rushing lanes, especially with those mobile quarterbacks. They're also keying in on stopping the run. They're a legit top 5 run defense right now in terms of yards per rush attempt allowed, right? So you could tell they're putting a focal point there. So these guys, if you were to take that into consideration, are probably going to jump up a tier or 2 if you were just pinning your ears back. So it all comes down to strategically, what are you trying to accomplish with the pass rush and stopping the run on your way to the quarterback? So again, though, with him being 38, that tells me we're probably not done looking for another edge defender because he's our highest graded edge defender, right? You never stop looking for those tier 1 positions. If we go on down, Kingsley Enagbare grading out as a 62. He is in the 67th spot. All right. So we got a 67 spot. That's outside of starting caliber in terms of the ranking at edge defender. So not only do you not have a dominant edge defender at the moment, but you don't even have a backup worthy one. Okay.
I want to pat you on the butt and you keep my hand. So
perfect drop right there. So the next one is going to be LVN at a 51.9. So he's the 104th graded. Now, you've seen some improvement in his game here lately. There's no two ways about that. But, again, it's such an important position. You want to know why our defense struggles at times? It's because we don't have that true tier 1 edge defender at the moment that's just dominating, and we don't have that true tier 1 defensive tackle that can play 3-tech that's dominating. That's the biggest need for this football team right now, offense and defense, in my opinion. So, Tim, you have the floor. I know I've talked a lot. I want to get that information out there. I want to get your take on it. How do you feel about, we talked about, obviously, 3-tech, but now we're talking edge. What do you think, man?
I agree. I'm sitting here taking notes because I was kind of looking at this earlier myself since I missed the morning show, kind of looking at the defense, and I agree. I love Devontae Wyatt. I love Carl Brooks. Those are great pieces to have. I think they should stay in Green Bay for a while, but we've got to put some more talent around those guys and in front of them. You look at this list too, especially with edge guys. You talked about Rashawn Gary. I mean, I'm looking at this middle tier list there, like, top 50 to 60 guys. There's some rookie guys on that list that are, right near some veterans that are, grading out higher. Again, different schemes, like you said, different approaches. Not everybody's being sent on blitzes all the time. We know pressure rate, blitzes, sacks, those kind of things make your PFF grade go up. But I agree wholeheartedly that we definitely need some help on the edge as well. Maybe we're just missing one more piece too. You never know, because guys like Enagbare, LVN, they're studs too, and great supporting guys. But yeah, who can we put out there besides Rashawn Gary when it comes to this pass rush? I think we do. We need to look at top tier guys available in this draft coming up.
Yeah, definitely. And again, PFF isn't everything. So let's look at, all right, who's actually generating the pressure here, right? We talked about Rashawn Gary being on 3 different run stuffs in that game against the Detroit Lions, right? So he's playing really, in my opinion, his strength has been in the running game this year. Now, when we look at the quarterback pressure percentage across the team, you got to throw out the defensive backs and the linebackers because obviously their pressure percentage is going to be way higher. You're manipulating the protection, and you typically get a free runner or you get someone with an inside leverage advantage on a loop or something like that. But when you go to the first player that's not a safety, corner, or a linebacker, it's Rashawn Gary at 13% pressure rate. Okay, and again, this is GPS tracking. This isn't some BS metric that someone just made up. You can go to every one of his pressures, and we've done it before all year long. He's now up to 40 pressures. To put that into perspective, the closest one to him is Kenny Clark at 21. You going, Clayton, I thought you said he was bad at pressuring the quarterback. Look at his pressure percentage, 6.6%. Look at Gary's, 13%. So for the people that, I know it's easy to go, oh, man, Gary's trash, this ain't working, blah, blah, blah. He's our best pass rusher. So you keep him, right? Yeah. If you get rid of Gary, you remove all of your pass rush. Now, imagine what Gary's doing. Again, he was being chipped. The last we heard, he was being chipped third most in the league. So he was getting all that attention with the chip. If you had someone on the opposite side, whether it's a 3-tech or another edge, they can't chip everybody. So,
I have a question for you, kind of like Coach Len brought this up in the chat. We don't have, 43 ends or a 3-tech. So we're in agreement on the 3-tech. Hell, I take another one. I take a 1-tech too while we're at it. But 43 ends, do you think is that what we're missing? Like a true, defensive end type of guy as opposed to a, like an outside linebacker, athletic edge rusher type of dude? Do we need more of just like a traditional 43 end? Is that what we're looking for, or do you think we're still looking for Mr. RAS score again? You know what I mean?
Right. Here's a great example of why I feel like Goody does come up short sometimes. I think he's great at his job. Don't get me wrong, But the Lions gave up a 5th-round pick for Zadarius Smith. Now, I'm not saying I want Zadarius Smith. You guys know how I feel about it. I would rather have Charlie Brown rushing the quarterback than that jackass on our team again. That's just me personally. But you can go out. What did the Lions do? They got an injury. They realized, oh, crap, we got a deficiency here in Aiden Hutchinson, losing him, and then Alex Anzalone. Let's go get another edge defender. They're prioritizing it. Guys, it's a 5th-round pick. It's a 5th-round pick. Like, why not go out and get someone proven? And he's not the only decent edge defender out there. And I know that the argument is always, well, they didn't, that wouldn't have panned out for them, or they, there's not that many offers out there. You got to be willing to trade away draft picks to get players, especially later round picks, to get a player that can contribute right now. Imagine if you had a player not named Zadarius Smith, but was Zadarius Smith's grade right now on this team opposite Rashawn Gary. They'd be wreaking
havoc. It only cost you a 5th or a 6th rounder or something. Yeah, I get it.
Bingo.
Yep.
So that's something you got to really take into consideration. Now, again, when you look at that pressure percentage, and I'm going to go back to the PFF grades here in just a second. If you look at that pressure percentage with Rashawn Gary, 13%, then it's Lucas Van Ness, it's 9.5%. So we're talking about Van Ness grade now as the 104th best edge defender according to PFF, but he's got the 2nd highest pressure percentage on the team, right? So that means something. He's basically, before that we had checked, he was at like something like 7%, 7.2%. And now he's up to 9.5%. So he's continually getting better at pressuring the quarterback. If you go to sacks, which is a result-driven stat, we know Rashawn Gary leads the team at 5.5. Then it's Devontae White and Lucas Van Ness with 3. So Van Ness is feeling more like that edge defender opposite Gary as opposed to Kingsley Enagbare. It doesn't mean you throw Kingsley Enagbare out with that, ranking grade now as the 67th best edge. You just can't wait around for these guys to develop. You got to go find the next TJ Watt. You got to go find the next Myles Garrett. And I know Myles Garrett's they don't fall off trees, right?
Right.
TJ Watt, you had a shot to get him. We've heard that for 2 decades, it feels like now, even though he hasn't been in the league that long. Who'd we take? Kevin King over TJ Watt, I think it was, something like that.
Yeah.
So just another example right there of, hey, look, GM's miss. This isn't trying to rag on Goody, but you got to it's just that important of a position. You got to continue to allocate resources to that or draft capital to that to try to get that buttoned up. So essentially what you got, 38, 67, 104, edge defender, hands down, 3 tech. Those are 2 needs for this team. Now, let me hop back over here to PFF real quick. Hopefully all that makes sense. And again, listen, I'm not saying this is the gospel. I'm just telling you this is how I look at it. And you guys may disagree, and that's totally cool. Just want to, like I said, give you my opinion on how we should attack improving this roster. And it kind of lines up with everything we're talking about. Now, again, the pass rush has taken a hit because I feel like we're really keying in on stopping the run. That's just me personally. So now let's go on down the line here.
Wait a minute, Clay. We got United Bates in the chat. I mean, J.J. Watt looks like he can still play. I mean, Wisconsin guy, right? Not doing anything right now. Sitting at a desk, talking ball like we are.
We were hanging out in the kitchen the other day, and Mandy started shaking her head. I'm like, what? She's like, I still can't believe they didn't sign J.J. Watt that year. Remember that year? There was rumors of him going to Green Bay or whatever. Now, and I told her, I said, yeah, but babe, he graded out in like the 60s, So it wasn't like he was the same dominant J.J. Watt. It probably proved to be the right move. But who knows what he could have done in Green Bay, though, right?
True.
Yeah, I know you guys are joking about that, but Mandy brought it up the other day. Like, I can't believe they didn't sign him because he's a Wisconsin dude, right? That sucks, but there you go. All right, let's see what else we got here. Linebackers. Let's go to linebackers now, okay? So obviously you're looking for starting caliber linebackers in terms of where they rank PFF grades with the minimal percentage erased. So leading the league right now, Zach Bond with the Eagles at 90.0, Fred Warner with the Niners with a damn broken leg, 87.1. Bobby Wagner, Tim, 83.3. It's a perfect example.
Here's the guy.
That was the dude that we were like, hey, let's go bring Bobby Wagner.
And everybody laughed at us.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Everybody.
And you look at Washington, and they got a great defense, and he's an 83.3 this year. Jack Gibbons with the Titans, he is 83.2. Leo Chenal from Wisconsin, right? Played for Chenal, for Wisconsin, if I remember correctly, 89 or 82.0. Elandon Roberts for the Steelers, 81.8. Devin Lloyd, 80.9 for the Jaguars. The other one I wanted to look at, remember Peyton Wilson in the draft, Tim?
Yep.
So we passed up on him early. I can't remember where he got picked, but I know we took Edgerrin Cooper over him, right? I had Junior Colson, Peyton Wilson, Cedric Gray, then Edgerrin Cooper is what I have on my draft board. So Peyton Wilson was my second best linebacker on my board. Him and Junior Colson were in the same tier. And you see here that Peyton Wilson grading out as a 77.9, an absolute stud. So interesting to see how these rookies.
Didn't Junior Colson get drafted before he did too? So it's kind of interesting to see how they pan out. You know, it's truly hit or miss. You can't hit them all, right?
And last I heard, Junior Colson was not having a good rookie campaign. I don't know where he's at on this list. We probably won't have time to look it up, but just want to kind of look at a few of them in terms of the rookies. Now, you guys remember in free agency alongside Bobby Wagner, we said, hey, what about this Al-Shaair guy, right? He was one that we were looking at. Houston signed him. He's grading out a 73.9. Now he's going to be missing 3 games for what he did to Trevor Lawrence. That man got a family. Why he got to do him like that, right? So he's going to be missing some time. But, again, that was one that we were looking at in free agency going, that dude right there. There's another one too, Blake Cashman. Where's Blake Cashman on this list? I'm eager to see him.
Right.
Oh, yep, right there.
Or 19. Yep.
Minnesota swept in and scooped him up. He's a 72.7, the 19th overall graded linebacker this year. So that would have been a nice pickup too. Now, our first linebacker, check it out, guys, 21st is Eric Wilson at a 71.6. Right?
Here's a guy.
So as odd as that sounds, we're excited about Edgerrin Cooper, right? Some people think that Quay might be turning the corner. Eric Wilson is still our highest graded linebacker. Does that mean he's our best linebacker? It doesn't, although I think it does mean he needs more snaps. It's been rare that you look. Now, this last game, rough game. I think we would all agree, right? McDuffie kind of had a rough game as well. But when it comes to Eric Wilson, man, it's a contract year. That's another player that I think we've seen enough that you go to him and say, hey, let's sign you let's go ahead and get an extension and put some money in your pocket here real quick. How about we sign you to a 2-year extension, at $3 million per, and we'll guarantee $4 million. He'll probably sign that. He don't know what he's going to get in free agency, right? Yep. You go to him early and try to get that done. That way you ain't got to fool with it. But if he hits free agency and signs somewhere else and you lose your highest graded linebacker, and I think most people, and rightfully so, they look at him as depth. It's not like he's going to be your Mike Backer, but still, that's a good quality football player there. So that's tough. So he's 21st. Okay, that grades out as a starting caliber linebacker. Obviously, you're going to have 2 in the lineup, same as like your defensive tackle. So there's going to be 64 total, right? That you consider starting. Next is Edgerrin Cooper in the 36th spot at a 66.8. So he's grading out as a legit number 2 linebacker, right? A solid number 2 linebacker, really about to break into starting caliber grade, okay? So Cooper's good to go once he's healthy. I think that's why I see him as our Mike of the future. That's just me personally. I think that's the future of our team. He's got a much lower passer rating when targeted as well. When I looked at that statistic earlier, as a matter of fact, I won't pull it on the screen to save on time here. But when you go passer rating when targeted, Edgerrin Cooper is 1, 2, 3. He's 4th best on the team at a 75.6. So we've seen him attack the quarterback and sack. We've seen him attack the running game. We've seen his athleticism get and scoop up a fumble, a couple different times, I believe, where it's like, man, nobody else on the field's making that play. He just got that raw athleticism. We've seen him cover the seam in the Tampa 2 and do it excellent. And here he is with a 75.6 passer rating when targeted. To put that into perspective, Quay Walker's is 100.8. So obviously significantly better. We were just talking about Eric Wilson, right, Tim? Like good grade. Eric Wilson's passer rating when targeted is a 103.3, worse than Quay Walker's. Yep. So that's why you got to take all the information, put it in a pot. All right, here's what we truly got. You can't just go solely on PFF grade, and you can't go solely on the statistics too. And obviously we watched the tape and we've seen Eric Wilson have a pretty damn good year this year. We're seeing Quay here recently. These numbers aren't reflecting. Quay's kind of playing better, right? So you got to take all that into consideration.
I think Quay's done a good job of stepping up. just both in execution and also just, you know, as a leader out there. We're shorthanded without Edge Coop. You know, we've seen what he can do on the field. We've seen what this defense looks like when Edgerrin Cooper's playing out there. I, for one, love seeing him and Quay on the field together.
I do too.
It's a great 1-2 punch. And I agree with the sentiment of, keep a guy like Eric Wilson around. You know, we'll see what happens with Quay. I got a feeling that they're going to keep him around, maybe just pick up the option on him. I don't know. But I would like to see that moving forward. I think, you know, if anybody you're scratching your head moving forward, it might be Zay McDuffie, who again is not grading out super high this year, but has had some good games and is another depth type of linebacker in this defense. So we'll have to see. I think it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility to see them looking for another linebacker. I don't know how early in the draft they're going to go for that. I don't see them trading up or down necessarily, but like you always say, if somebody's on the board when you're picking and it makes sense, you know, sometimes you gotta go ahead and, you know, do what's best for your team and take best available or best position available. And if that happens to be a linebacker, I would think Goody probably wouldn't hesitate to bring another guy in here.
Yeah, I agree. And Quay Walker lands in the 59 spot, so he is a starting caliber linebacker, inside linebacker. And the reason we don't say a true mock, he may be wearing the green dot, but that doesn't mean he's playing mock every down, right? We talk about how it's interchangeable. We've shown mock fires. We've shown Will fires. We've shown Will Tampa. We've shown mock Tampa. Like, they have to be interchangeable, and that's why it really feels like Quay Walker and Edgerrin Cooper on the field at the same time, and that nickel 4-2-5 makes the most sense. But he grades out 59th. And then the next one, I'm trying to remember who it was, Isaiah McDuffie, 55.7, grades out in the 70s. So he's in the red for me. That's outside of starting caliber. That's a backup player. In my opinion, there's no reason to try to bring McDuffie back unless it's on a minimum contract, and he may very well test the market, not get anything. You bring him back, you got a great special teams player, and you got a decent floor there as well at the linebacker position. So, again, at linebacker, 21st, 36th, 59th, and 70th. All right? And we got them color-coded. I'll tell you the end result here in a minute when we wrap up. We got to go quick because we're way over. We wasn't going to do a double episode. We're just going to keep it to single here. But cornerbacks, big talking point this year, right? So who are the best cornerbacks in the league? Pat Surtain with the Denver Broncos at 84.3. Andrew Phillips with the New York Giants at 81.9. Marlon Humphrey with the Baltimore Ravens, 81.5. Christian Benford for the Buffalo Bills at 80.5. This one right here hurts, obviously. Cooper DeJean.
How
Cooper
dare
DeJean
you?
is the 7th highest graded corner in the league, and I know the chat is about to line up big time here, boy. It's going to be.
You should have drafted Cooper DeJean. Why didn't we draft him?
Listen, I understand the frustration. I get it. So Cooper DeJean on our board. Here's what we had: Quinyon Mitchell, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Nate Wiggins, Terry and Arnold, then Cooper DeJean. So we had Cooper DeJean as our 5th best cornerback on the draft board. Enos Rakestraw on that same. Essentially, what you had was
I had Rakestraw over DeJean, so I feel really.
And I had him slightly under him, but in the same tier. So we had 4 of those corners clustered together in that same tier, right? But Cooper DeJean, that's how it works too, guys. You got 4 grades that are identical. These players, you look for what we call what they call cluster busters, is what former NFL scout Daniel Jeremiah calls them. So when you get a group of players that are all in that same block together, you go, okay, what's most important to me, and which of these 4 players do that best, right? You may watch the third down snaps. You may watch the bump and run snaps, right? You may go watch all of his every player's interceptions. That might be the cluster buster for you to break that up and go, all right, that's our dude. He ended up being the best, hands down, out of that group for sure. So our first corner, though, don't want to get caught up on that too much. Jair Alexander. All right. Jair Alexander, 75.2. He's 11th in the league. So that's a legit number 1 corner. If, I pause for dramatic effect, if he's on the field, right? That's the big thing. So yeah, hopefully he can stay healthy as time goes on, or get healthy and be on the field more, because right now, man, he's played 50% of his snaps of the last damn near 40 games now, right? Less than 50% of the snaps. So it's tough, man.
Things could be a lot worse. I could be a Bears fan.
Availability and accountability are the 2 most important things, right? And he has not checked the box there. It sucks. So they're arguably our best defensive player on the team, but if they're on the field, man, it don't really matter, right? So
make the club in the tub, right?
That's exactly right. So next on the list, again, Jair Alexander, when healthy, he's good to go. Next on the list is Keyshawn Nixon. Where's Keyshawn Nixon grading out? A 67.2. Guys, he's the 49th best cornerback in the league right now. That's a legit number 2 corner, right? And we've got him under contract for 2 more years after this year. And, it's probably going to jump a little bit. I want to say it was somewhere around 6, may jump up to 8, whatever it is. He's also the best returner in the game. Now, the rules change. That's really neutralized that aspect of our game. But Keyshawn Nixon, man, Tim, I think he's been playing some damn good football. Him in the 49 spot makes me feel really good about this cornerback room moving forward. He's only going to get better. He's getting better. As you guys seen 3 weeks ago, maybe, runs all the way across the field, last second, punches a ball out, forces a turnover. This last game, gets an interception where he's supposed to be playing curl flat, read the quarterback's eyes, was being no threat to our defense and vulnerability and not covering his assignment. He's got that curl flat under control, jumps a route, gets an interception. He's getting better, dude. I'm excited about Keyshawn Nixon moving forward.
Yeah, and me too. And you're right about him being, looking at just PFF grades, him being a solid number 2. Let's face it, right now he's our number 1. Without Jair on the field, that's our number 1 corner. Carrington Valentine's probably your 2, and the list continues from there. So I think the thing that's really shocked me, I've said this before, I don't want to say shocked, but it did catch me off guard. The way he's played on the boundary. We've had to take him out of the slot, put him on the boundary. I thought for sure he'd be, questionable at best, possibly even a liability out there on the outside. I've always preferred him, if he's going to play corner, to be in the slot. And now he, again, makes me look stupid, and he's having a really solid year playing on the boundary. Certainly looks better than, more than half the corners on the team right now playing on the outside. So I'm looking forward to, hopefully, Javon Bullard, he's week to week or whatever. Hopefully he's back in the slot and we can see a lineup that involves, Jair and Keyshawn both playing on the boundary together, which would be awesome.
Yeah. Everybody in the chat, Greg Ross, Clay, where's Douglas? Chris M, where's Rasul Douglas, Clayton? Jason Y, where's Rasul Douglas? Everybody got the same thought. Where's this guy at? He's 75th at 60.7.
Where's my boy Malik Mustafa? Where's he at? Is he back? Oh no, this is just corners. He's playing safety, right?
Yeah, we'll get that in a second. Yeah. Rasul Douglas though is 75th. So listen, I was as critical as anyone, and last year he played way better, right? Like it would have been worth it in my opinion to keep him, but Goody, this front office, they've done it forever. They get rid of players they'd rather get rid of them 1 year too early than 1 year too late. And according to PFF, Rasul has definitely dropped off. So he's their 3rd or 4th best corner on the Buffalo Bills right now. So, see, this is how we go over. You guys get me sidetracked. I'm going to blame every one of you on the chat. It's funny, though, as you guys, before you topped it, I'm sitting there going, I wonder where Rasul is on this. So, great minds think alike. Moving along, let's see who the next best corner is for the Packers if one makes the list. Carrington Valentine, 53.9. He's the 96th best corner. What that tells me is, again, we're typically in our nickel the majority of the time, 4-2-5. There's going to be 3 cornerbacks on the field, right? So where would 96 fall? 32, 64, right? So it'd be, what would that be? 96, right? Would be a legit number 3, or at the bottom of the barrel 93, or number 3. So Carrington Valentine's right there on the cusp of falling into the red, although he's still in the black at 96. Eric Stokes slightly in the red at 98.
I cannot believe that Eric Stokes is in the top 100
of most corners. Yeah,
it's crazy.
Again, you see that 53.2, and you just think that's a bad grade. But when you compare it across the league, it's like, hey, there's other players that are playing much worse than him right now. I'll tell you one that everybody was excited about a few years ago, Joey Porter Jr.
Yep.
Joey Porter Jr. was this highly touted corner. He's grading out a 52.0. Joey Porter Jr., people said, was the reason that Kalen King had such a good year in 2022, right? And now Kalen King falls all the way down to the 7th round, and Joey Porter is playing bad football according to PFF.
Look at Terry and Arnold hanging out down there at 107th too.
It's exactly what we talked about, right?
Must be all those holding and pass interference calls.
Could be. He is grabby, no doubt about it. I wonder where Kool-Aid McKinstry is. Did anybody see Kool-Aid? He may be hurt too. I don't know. Let's see if we can find McKinstry anywhere. There we go, 59. So pretty good. Pretty good. So since we're doing this, we're already over. Who gives a crap? So Kool-Aid McKinstry was my second best corner. He's grading out 59th. That's a solid grade for a rookie. I haven't seen Nate Wiggins. Terry and Arnold's garbage. We talked about that. Cooper DeJean's an absolute stud. Ennis Rakestraw Jr.'s hurt. I don't know how many snaps he's had. Quinyon Mitchell. Did we see Quinyon Mitchell on that yet? I want to say he isn't grading out. Oh, there he is. Dang, the 13th best corner. See, that's the one that was on the board, and we were like, "What?" Didn't we let Philly trade up past us to get him? Am I thinking right? Maybe that happened.
Yeah,
like.
might explain why their D is so good. Mitchell and DeJean, man, just two absolute stud draft picks right there that they brought into their secondary.
Yeah, so Quinyon Mitchell was my best corner. Kool-Aid McKinstry was second best. Then Nate Wiggins, Terry and Arnold, Cooper DeJean, and Ennis Rakestraw Jr. Those four are in the cluster together. It looks like 3 of those 4 were actual hits too, so that's kind of cool. I figured only one of them would be hitting Cooper DeJean, so it looked like there was multiple. So that one hurts. But here's the moral of the story, though. You see that and you go, "Yeah, we need corner help. We need corner help. We need corner help." Based off of what? Like, Jair Alexander not playing, completely agree. But if Jair Alexander is going to be on the field, our cornerback room don't look bad. 11th, 49th, 96th, and 98th. Yep. Now, can you use another one? Everybody could use another one. But do you need another one over a better pass rush in a 3-tech or an edge defender opposite Rashawn Gary?
Right. And do you need to use a draft pick on one?
Right. Exactly.
Or do you trade a draft pick and get another veteran or somebody, look at the market? There's a lot of different ways to go. I agree. I don't think it's a desperate need. We also know that corner's not necessarily a tier 1 of importance position on the defensive side of the ball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So again, when you look at the cornerback position, the big thing you need with corners is combating RPOs and being physical at the line of scrimmage. That's why some people feel like cornerback has raised up a tier into that tier 2. Some would say tier 1. When you look at the great defenses, you think, okay, what is it they've got? Like, name a great defense across the league. Philadelphia, yeah, they've got solid corners. There's no two ways about it. They got Vic Fangio running the defense, and they went out and drafted 2 stud corners, right? So, that's just something that you gotta take into consideration. Chris N says, "Clayton, you're crazy. We need multiple corners. Why? Tell me why. Why do you need multiple corners? I'd love to have the number 1 corner in the league, but you're telling me you would rather have multiple corners over a 3-tech? You'd rather have multiple corners over the next Jalen Carter, the next insert absolute stud 3-tech. I would rebuttal and say you're crazy because you want to know why you're getting bullied up front and you can't hit home with a pass rush. To me, corners are the equivalent to wide receivers. Like, when you talk about building a solid roster, what did the Bears do? They went out and got 2 stud receivers, right? And their offensive line sucks, okay? How do you dominate that offensive line that sucks? Do you have a great pass rush? It all starts up front.
A lot of receivers out there in New York playing for the Jets, too. How are they doing?
Yeah, exactly. And again, Aaron Rodgers running for his damn life, too, right?
Yep.
This isn't my opinion. This isn't me going, here's how I would build a roster. Everything all the message I convey comes from stuff that I've studied, coaches I've studied. Listen to Bill Belichick talk about these teams that are trying to build through corner and build through wide receiver as opposed to getting the trenches first. You want to drop down a tier or 2, go put all your resources in wide receiver and corner and continue to neglect the defensive line. So Christian says not over 3-tech or defensive end, but next. Yeah, it's funny you say that, and we need to get to safeties, but I'm going to give you guys the cheat sheet here, or the spoiler. My order of importance: edge, defensive tackle, edge, okay? And they're in the red. That should be top priority. Next, in my opinion, would be a center and an inside linebacker. to compete with Quay opposite of Edger and Cooper. Okay, because that's assuming Eric Wilson's gone, and our coaching staff don't even see Eric Wilson as a starting inside linebacker, right, in the nickel 4-2-5 when everyone's healthy. Then after that, it would be corner is how I would see it. So that's just going off the color code that we created here. Let's move on to safety. God, man, we could do a 3-hour show doing this. I love this stuff.
For sure.
And the conversation in the chat, Chris and everybody getting involved is just it makes it absolutely awesome. Let's go to safety. And y'all want to hear the good news? Look at this, boys. Number 2 safety in the league, Xavier McKinney, 88.0.
Heard it from a fan right here.
Yes, sir. We're good to go there. All right. Let's slide down to the number 18 spot. Evan Williams, rookie, 74.7. Not only do we have 2 great starting safeties, we've got 2 number 1 caliber safeties. And what's great is the safety position is so interchangeable in today's NFL, and you're seeing it with Jeff Hafley's defense. You'll see multiple times a game, won't you, Tim? McKinney will be post. Next thing you know, he's playing spur.
Yep.
Evan Williams will be playing post. Next thing you know, he's playing spur. He may be hitting the curl flat. He might sit in the hook zone. We seen him play robber in cover 1 that last game. He being Evan Williams. So they got to be interchangeable. Safety position, check it off the freaking list. But once again, if you get a stud player that falls to you in the 2nd round and you go, man, we got a first grade. The only first round grade we have on the board right now is this safety. Pull the trigger.
Yep.
Pull the trigger. Right. You always draft best player available, but you build your board and you do your scouting. You prioritize your scouting time to what are our needs, right? And typically by doing that, the board falls into position alongside your needs. But that right there, man, God, it gives me a lot of hope for the future of this defense. And again, to me, this is if safety, if our cornerback position room, Tim, was in the shape of our safety room and our safety room was in the position of our corner room, I would be putting safety up toward the top of the list. It would be above center and linebacker if we didn't have these 2 guys. I've been screaming it forever. Like since we started doing the podcast, we got to get a post safety. You got to have a post safety that opposing offenses respect, right? And my whole thing is 2 great pass rushers, 3-tech edge, a solid mock in the middle, and a solid post safety, and you use the boundary, the out of bounds as extra defenders, right? To put all of your resources into like a corner and you just covering this one side of the field and he's over here, right? You're not, I think we would all, hopefully everyone understands now, there's no such defense in the league where the number 1 corner always follows the number 1 receiver. It just doesn't happen every play, right? Yep. I mean, there's no team in the league that runs more man coverage than zone. So it's statistically impossible. It's logically impossible for that to happen. So, but safety's good, man. And here's what's cool too. I think we've got someone in the 77 spot, if I remember correctly. Let me go down through here real quick. Javon Bullard, 53.7, right? 77th in the league. Okay. So what does that tell you? It's not starting caliber in the top 64, but that's a pretty solid backup. And we want to see him get better. Now, keep in mind, he plays a slot, right? And to me, if there's anything this team needs in the secondary, it's a slot corner. Javon Bullard has not proven to me he's the guy. But, boy, I love watching him attack the run, Tim. Yeah. That play where he shot his shot the other day and forced Jahmyr Gibbs to cut back, I think it was Gibbs and not Montgomery, and Quay came in and made the tackle. That was all Javon Bullard that made that play. It sucks that he's hurt. But have we heard any update on that yet? Have you heard anything, Tim?
I've heard just week to week. That's all they're saying. I believe I think it's ankle.
Got it.
Ankle injury. Yep. That's what I heard week to week.
Yeah.
So who knows what that means?
Yeah. Wow, this is wild. I'm glad Fred caught this. So he's talking about Antoine Winfield Jr. making more money than any other safety in the league, and he's 71st on this list.
Feel even better about that Javon Bullard draft pick now.
Tim, we were looking at Winfield going, hey, man, maybe you go get Winfield, right?
Yep. That was another guy we were talking about.
Goody looked at Winfield, and he looked at McKinney and said, Now, I remember now, early stages Winfield we were talking, but they ended up locking him up, didn't they, before free agency started? That's what it was. So imagine if they had let Winfield hit free agency, and we had signed him instead of McKinney, we'd be sitting there going, hell, we got to take another swing, So pretty cool, though. That's your PFF kind of review with 4 weeks to go in the season. Hopefully now we get an idea, and it's not necessarily about the players individually. It's about the position groups. Here's what we've got: quarterback, halfback, we're good to go. Wide receiver, in my opinion, we're good to go. Tight end, we're good to go. Center, we need us a center, no doubt about it. Guard, I feel like we're good to go. 46 and 55, solid there, right? Now, if you kick Elton to center, like Tim said, rather than just put center on the list, why don't we say interior offensive line? You can get a solid guard and, plug and play him as a rookie and then let Elton Jenkins take over, you're good to go. Here's the other thing, too. When Jordan Morgan's healthy, we may be good there. We haven't seen a whole lot of him, right? So maybe he gets healthy. We finish the year and go, hey, Jordan Morgan's a stud, too. Awesome. Now you've got the depth at guard to kick Elton Jenkins to center, and you're good to go. Or maybe it ends up being Jordan Morgan or ends up being whoever.
Right. I was just going to say, maybe Morgan's able to play at the tackle. That's where he's natural position, I guess, so we'll see.
I wouldn't rule anything out yet. Tackle, we're good. Zach Tom, the number 7 tackle. And then, of course, Rasheed Walker at 48, but one of the best pass blocking left tackles in the game. We're good there, in my opinion. It doesn't mean, again, it's tier 1. If we come into next draft and the best player available on the board is a left tackle, like Jordan Morgan was, they will probably take him, right? And 2-0 for this stop. I'm sorry, Greg. I'm sorry, 2-0 for this. You took a shot there for no reason. Greg Rice, stop right now in the chat, okay? He's saying mock draft, mock draft, mock draft. We're not doing it. We're not doing the mock draft, all right? Don't even start this. It's too early, all right? I will turn.
He did ask a good one though. We were asking about my boy Mustafa since we got the safeties up. Is he in the top 100?
Let's see, man. Surely
49ers.
Surely he's toward it. So he's with the Niners, right? Let's just look for the Niner logo. Boom, 27, Tim.
27. All right.
Ooh,
that was up there on my. I think I had him 5th on my list.
Yeah, let's see where I had him at. Malik Mustafa. So we had Tyler Nubin 1, Javon Bullard 2. Kitano Ladapo 3, Cam Kitchens 4, Taylor Demerson 5, Kalen Bullock 6, Cole Bishop 7, Tyreek Smith 8, and then I had Malik Mustafa at 9 is where I had him. And here's what's crazy, guys, and this happens every year. Evan Williams, I had lit up in the green saying that's going to be a heavy target for the Packers based off of the interest they showed, the measurables and everything, but he is in the bottom third of my safeties, and he's an absolute stud. How cool is that? Like, it's just – damn, I love the draft, man. It's awesome. So, all right, awesome. There you go. Quick recap. We hit all the positions there, right, talking about it. Tackle, we got the tackle, right? Defensive line, you need to find that true 3-tech. You got to get a dominant 3-tech. It's that important. So you take a swing there at some point. Edge defender, you need to try to find you an edge defender. Unless LVN just starts ripping people's heads off this last 4 games, or JJ Enagbare or whoever steps up, that's got to be your guy. Linebacker, I feel like, me personally, I would want to go get another linebacker at 21 and 36. Let's take another swing and try to find a true mock, someone that can play alongside Edgerrin Cooper if indeed Quay doesn't continue to improve. These last 4 weeks will probably make that decision for us, to be honest with you. Cornerback, I feel like we're good at corner unless a stud falls to you. And then safety, we're definitely good at safety. Not that you won't draft depth for any of these positions. So in the order of importance, when I say corner is good, I'm saying in terms of prioritizing, although it is on the list. So 3-tech, edge, top priority. Second priority, center, unless, of course, you think Elton is the dude, right? You're good to go there. You can wipe it off the list. And linebacker, okay? And then next would be cornerback. And I think specifically a slot corner if Keyshawn's going to stay outside, which it looks like Keyshawn. Tim, I feel like Keyshawn has played better outside than he did in the slot.
Yeah.
It feels like that, does it not?
Kind of didn't really have a choice,
right.
With the injuries to Jair and stuff. He kind of found himself out there. Like Coach Len is saying, slot corner is a must. I think Bullard playing the slot was kind of just – that's a project for this year, get him on the field. With us being a little thin at corner from time to time, that helped, allowed Keyshawn to go to the boundary. But I agree. I think, it's crazy. I think that might be his home. I feel good about Keyshawn out there. Hopefully we get Jair back and more consistently. But I think him and Valentine looked okay against Detroit. playing out there. I know some people may disagree. I know PFF certainly disagrees with me. But, you know, I feel like Carrington Valentine's still a work in progress, a guy who's shown flashes before and who's, you know, steadily improving. Don't forget, we also have guys that we already drafted. We drafted Kalen King. You know, there's other cornerback depth in this roster. So, you know, we'll see what happens going into next year. But I'm with you. If we're drafting a corner, it should be a true slot or another safety who we can use in the slot, maybe, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, Coach Lynn says slot corner is a must. Greg Rice says, don't we play nickel the majority of the time? We do. We're in nickel a large majority of the time. So that's why when we talk about building the roster out, we kind of mold it after that. That's why we're not concerned with having 3 great linebackers, right? You're looking for 2 good linebackers. You're looking for 2 good edge defenders, 2 good interior defensive linemen, obviously 2 safeties, and you're looking for 3 good corners. You model your entire roster after the fact and around the fact that your nickel is going to be on the field the majority of the time. It doesn't mean you neglect the other. It's just simply, let's put our best player. Let's make sure we build our roster around the formation we use the most. If that makes sense. I say formation, but it's really, you know, personnel on the defensive side with nickel. So there you go there. And I think we're good. Here we go. Jason Watt, that's the last one. I marked it earlier. Jason, appreciate you swinging through, buddy. He says, Clayton, that video you did this morning was eye-opening. There are way too many positions where we don't have anyone in the top 32. And that's why you got to kind of prioritize, Jason, and we'll kind of end it there. You got to prioritize and say, okay, yeah, they may not be in the top 32, but what about the top 64, right? Because you want that floor to be high. You don't want to just go crazy on one position. You want to continue to build the floor higher, and these guys develop. Hopefully your coaching staff can continue to develop players. And now you look up and you got like our safety room, right?
Exactly. Or our receiver room. Yep.
Bingo. I really like our receiver room. And I know some people are down at I like it. I don't look at our receiver play and go, that's the reason we're losing. I just don't see it that way. I really don't. The reason we lost to the Lions, I've been very vocal about this. If we had half of those fringe penalty calls go our way, we're winning that damn ball game. There's no 2 ways about it, in my opinion. So I'm not really concerned. I think we can beat the Lions. I think we can beat anyone in the NFC. I really do. Kansas City last night, another one with the officiating. My God, it's going to be hard to beat that team. That's just ridiculous, man. It's just every single call goes in their favor. It's unbelievable. People tweet, man, why does he have so much time to throw? And then you see the replay, people getting chokeholded and everything. It's like, that's why he's got so much time to throw.
That's terrible.
So, yeah. And don't get me wrong, Pat Mahomes is a great quarterback. He might go down as the greatest. He may pass Brady up. But, yeah. All right, that's it, guys. I think we're done. We went way over. I was going to do 40 minutes. So I'll be sleeping in the car tonight. That's the way it goes. So, Tim, you got anything else, bub?
No, man. Happy to be here. This was great. I don't care that we went a little bit over. I hope Mandy's not too pissed at you.
No, she'll be all right, man. She's decorating downstairs. So, it was part of
so she's definitely
is a possum in a dumpster.
I'll tell you, man, it looks like Santa Claus threw up downstairs. There's stuff everywhere. It's unbelievable.
Love it.
We have 15 Christmas trees in this house.
Wow.
Unbelievable. And you guys go, are they small trees? Whatever. The qualification is 4-foot trees. If it's 4 foot or taller, 15 in this house. I love it. Don't get me wrong, though, man. Making coffee and looking for lights like a little kid. I just don't want any part of putting it up.
Or taking it down.
Mike, thank you, Mike. It is Monday. Got to take out the trash. Mike said,
we both got to do that. That's right.
Yeah, got to do it, man. All right. Well, we'll do. Greg says, tell Mandy we appreciate it. I sure will, Greg. Thank you, buddy. And again, everything's good to go, man. Appreciate y'all being concerned with that. But all right, that's it. We will see you guys in the morning for Good Morning Lambeau. We'll just do a quick 40-minute episode. We got to in the morning because we got to run some errands, do some Christmas shopping. So we'll be live at, I believe we're going to do 8:30 Central Time, normal time. I had to go a little earlier this morning because of the doctor's visit. So we're good there. Tim, appreciate you, pal.
Appreciate you too, Clay.
For those of you listening on the pod,
thank you for making this part of your day. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world, and go Pack Go.
Thanks for watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Green Bay Packers content. Created for the fans by the fans. Hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you know whenever we go live. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Packers_access. Go Pack Go. Have a great day.